Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Soss 218SDB steel door reinforcement bracket. This is a set of two. We're going to go over the dimensional properties of this, and we'll talk about where this is used. It's a pair. They are asymmetrical, so you'll need one of each. It'll be obvious when you install them which side goes where. The overall length of the bracket appears to be about 3 7/8. Overall width, about 1 1/4 inches. The material thickness, 0.192. 0.192 is the thickness of the steel, and that is indeed steel. It's a wipe coat, sort of galvanized coating to it to just prevent, rampant rust. Now, you order one of these, you get 2 of these in a package. What in the world would you use them for, and why would you look for them? Let's talk about that. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Why would you need these? Well, because you're adding SOSS hinges, or you're hanging a door on SOSS hinges, and frankly, this is nothing other than a piece of steel that's been bent, that's been sheared, that's been bent, that's been drilled and tapped. However, replicating this quickly and inexpensively is why you would be buying this. I have done projects that we would hang doors on SOSS, hollow metal doors. We did a job for one door. This one door was $20,000, and if you're in the commercial door business, you'll know how you get to that sort of number. It's not because the door is extremely custom and the frame is extremely custom, which it is, but then you add all the hardware, exit devices, electrification. It was an electrified exit trim on the outside. By the time you add all of these things up, you can get to quite a costly door. Well, this door was 4090 or 4010, something like that. The depth was 16 3/4. Every dimension was detailed specifically, and it was especially cumbersome because this project required incredible scrutiny over the layout of the door and frame. And what I mean is the positioning of the hinges, because this client was taking that 14 gauge. It may have been 12 gauge. No, it was 14 gauge. The frame was 12 gauge. This 4080, 4090, 4010, 14 gauge door, and then laminating onto it 12 gauge stainless. Something was going over it. So this was an outrageously heavy door. The positioning of that hinge needed to account for the added thickness of not only the 12 gauge they were applying, but the mastic or the adhesive that they would use. So we had to position that door within that modified rabbet width as well. We had to account for that. And it was, it caused me to stare at the dimensions for a little while, just to make sure I had it all laid out correctly. And it worked out perfectly. But the hollow metal quick ship manufacturer that I like to use a lot, they were like, sell us some reinforcements. They can make that custom door, but this is a drag, making a couple of these, or actually in this case, I think it would have been 10 of these. The fact of the matter is, even a company who manufactures hollow metal doors, shears, CNC turrets, laser machines, press brakes, the whole 9 yards, they are not going to even make these. So you'd be buying these because you don't want to spend the time making one. Plus, you won't get the offset exactly correct. Maybe you will. Our client base is extremely ingenious when it comes to being able to solve problems. But sometimes it just doesn't make sense. That offset is about 0.335. About 0.335 from here to here. Okay. Now, where are you going to use it? I happen to have a 218 IT right here. This is a 218, a SOSS 218 it's not an IT. It's a SOSS. Maybe it is an IT. It's an IC, internal interior closer. So where you're going to use this, you're going to install this into a hollow metal door and frame. That's where you're going to use it, right there. Watch the line of this and the edge of that hinge. You should be able to tell that this plane of the face of the hinge stands proud ever so slightly. I want to draw the spring back a little bit, release some tension so we can look at the hinge leaf. So this plane of the face of the hinge stands proud of that hinge plate ever so slightly, and the reason it does is because you've got the thickness of the steel that's going to be there. So the point is this offset is exactly correct for this based on 16 gauge. Now the much thicker 12 gauge that we were using, most certainly the factory had to account for that. They probably laid down the difference between 12 and 16 gauge steel and then prepped through it or added it after the fact. So that offset should be the thickness of the frame less the thickness of the hinge, and this is 0.398. I think that I had said this was something different. And my caliper really doesn't get that far. Yeah, but 0.435. No, I'm sorry, the wrong way. 0.335. So 0.4 less 0.335, right? About 65 thousandths, which is about 16 gauge. So that's exactly why that would be like that, and that's what you're going to use it for. I just happen to have a 218 closer here. I don't, they're literally sitting at the end of this row, so I didn't have to walk very far to get a hinge to demonstrate. These closers are pretty cool. We either sell them never or we sell them 20 at a time. It's the strangest thing. Why would we use SOSS on that project earlier that I had mentioned? Because of how capable the hinge is at handling the weight. The client also wanted a concealed hinge. And our installation, the other thing with SOSS is our installation, our location of the hinge didn't breach greater than the E dimension. If you looked up the template for the 218, there's an E dimension. It didn't exceed that value, so it worked perfectly. The door didn't have to go but to like 95 degree. So there was not much chance of having a major problem. Whether it goes 85 or 95, it's still the same sort of scenario. You have to get around that. These weigh 0.53 pound per pair, and they are symmetrical. Those screw hole locations are symmetrical. Asymmetric, I should say, to each other. Let's switch to the screen view. Let's take a closer look at the sporting information. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Here is the item that we are looking at. Let's take a look at some photographs that we have linked to down below. There's the packaging. Here are the two brackets, naturally. And these are indeed going to a welding company. Gives you a better look at it. Even a welding company who can make stuff with steel would prefer just to have it made for them with, from a company who's got the tools. I'm going to go with 1224 on those taps. It certainly looks like that's the right size, I'm guessing. Obviously, be mindful when you're ordering your SOSS to specify machine thread. TMS, template machine screws, is what you want to specify. A very close-up photo showing the surface of the material. Okay, now back to the item that we are looking at. Extended description information. SOSS offers ready-made reinforcements for easy prep of steel doors, save time and expense by using these all-steel reinforcements that are ready to weld into place. That's true. What we would do is we would take a hinge and we would use it as a spacer as a fixture, so to speak. Get that placed in the frame, attach the reinforcements to it, hold or clamp, certainly clamp all of that in place, and then weld it together. That's typical. It's not unusual for a factory to request that you send them a hinge for this purpose. And if it's an easy prep, like I had yesterday, someone wanted to purchase a pair of 10-inch center-to-center back-to-back poles, 1-inch diameter poles, just typical D-shaped poles, because the shop wanted to have them for the prep. It's two 5/8 inch diameter holes or 1/2 inch diameter holes for the door. You don't need the hardware for that, in my opinion. But I can understand why someone may want the hardware for this, especially when you don't do it all the time or hardly ever, and especially when it's highly custom and they just want to ensure that the fit is accurate. The downside of that is I find that the hardware comes back a bit dusty. Reinforcement bracket for doors, bag two for an upper and a lower. When you buy one, we're going to send you one pair, but be mindful, you're probably going to need 4 per hinge installation if you're doing hollow metal to hollow metal. You could be doing wood to hollow metal. That's wood door to hollow metal. There's a cut sheet here. Let's take a closer look. This is not really directly related, all of it. Page 1 and half of page 2 isn't, but on the bottom of page 2, they show you the different sizes. 216, 218, and 220 will be all like that. Gives you an excellent example of what that's supposed to look like when it's basically installed. If you had X-ray vision, that's what it would look like. Okay, there's also a link to template. This is going to be a technical drawing of the item showing you what it's going to look like. Obviously that single hole is not accurate, nor do I believe these are 1/4-20. Yeah, this is the wrong template. This is a 216 and 416. I'll get that corrected as well. By the time you're seeing this, it'll be corrected. The dimensional drawing will be very obviously similar to this. Okay, now there is a link below this video as seen here to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the SOSS products that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation, but also a link to the manufacturer's website as seen here, as well as a link to the current product catalog. We'll open that up, and I just want to point you in the right direction of where you'll find the pertinent material for this. So we'll just do a find function for 218 on our keyboard. The invisible closer hinge. Here's our 218 and a fire rated version of it as well. Also, which happens to be on page 39 of this 2018 catalog. I also wanted to point out to you the Hercules hinge. It's a hinge with even substantially greater capacity. This document on page 37, this table is what they call a nomograph, and it allows you to determine how many hinges you need based on the width and the height of the door. And those nomographs are here. That's the standard nomograph. The standard hinge, it's only called a standard hinge by comparison because they do have a heavier version of it. That nomograph is here somewhere as well. I may have scrolled past it. Anyway, it's linked to both of the nomographs are on this page. The standard one is here. And again, will allow you to determine how many hinges you need for the size of the width and the weight of the door. So they're clearly calculating a 30-inch door that weighs 200 pounds. Come across, you're going to use either 4 218s or 3 220 hinges. It was once said that H. Soss, or the gentleman's name, that I don't care how heavy the door is, just keep throwing SOSS hinges at it. And that sure worked out on that 12 gauge laminated 14 gauge hollow metal door, that's to be sure. let's wrap up this video on camera. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. In conclusion, I'm a fan of SOSS products. There are a lot of other people who make invisible hinges. Sugatsuni, McKinney, Tectus. There's someone else that I'm forgetting, I think. Those other products are adjustable in 3 axes. Left to right, depth, and vertically. All 3 axes. X, Y, and Z. I think Z, right? I think. SOSS has said they'll never make that kind of hinge. I completely agree with that statement. There's no reason to change this SOSS hinge. I've had people tell me, I have had a gentleman tell me that he has seen SOSS hinges get worn out. In 30 years, I've seen one SOSS hinge that was bent. And I said to the client when they walked in, I says, what happened? Did someone sit on top of the door, not knowing what the application was? He says, no, it was a bookcase, and the children climbed up on top of the bookcase and sat on the bookcase. Of all the thousands of SOSS hinges that I've sold, there was only one hinge I've ever seen, and that was broken by an extreme event that it wasn't engineered for. That same 14-gauge hollow metal door with 12-gauge lamination on it is not going to survive a truck backing into it. So, an item is as durable as what it's designed for. And I don't buy the idea that SOSS hinges are inferior because they're not adjustable in 3 axes. I don't think that you need a 3-axis adjustable hinge if you're prepping it correctly. And I think people who buy that just simply want the ability to move that door around should they need to. That flip side is, if you put it in the right place, you're not going to need to do that. And that is my experience with SOSS. The other side of that coin, regardless of whether or not you believe that they're missing the boat or they've got it right to begin with, they're missing a market that is buying 3-way adjustable hinges. And if anyone can design those, I would think SOSS could. And I don't think they should. I think that it may pervert their core line in the long run. I'm very partial to the line. It's because I'm not intimidated by their hinges. I've mortised for them. I've machined them. I understand them. I think they're super elegant, and they're really easy to install once you do the first one. Get yourself a 2x4 and test on that, and you'll be really good. If you have any questions on the 218SDB package of steel door reinforcements or any other SOSS product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.